All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going on a pretty incredible spiritual journey, exploring what it takes to go from a quiet, personal faith to a really courageous public witness.
So let's start with a question that gets right to the heart of it all. I mean, really think about this for a second. What does it truly mean to love God with your whole being? And maybe even tougher, are you ready to speak your truth, even if it costs you, well, everything? This is the challenge that's going to frame everything we talk about. Our journey really begins by just being honest about a feeling I think a lot of us have. It's this deep, deep hunger for a real, authentic faith. But at the same time, we feel the pressure from the world pushing us to just compromise.
And that phrase, cowardly compromise, it just nails it, doesn't it? We're not talking about some huge, dramatic betrayal. Nope, it's those little moments every single day. When you're at work and you just bite your tongue about something you believe in. Or you stay quiet with your friends because you don't want to rock the boat. That's the battle right there. What you truly believe versus the simple but oh so powerful fear of what other people will think. So if that's the struggle, what's the solution? How do we build up that spiritual muscle to live with integrity? Well, the answer doesn't start out in public. It starts in the quiet of our own hearts. And for that, we look to the example of King David.
This is ground zero. Long before David was a king, long before he faced Goliath, he was just a shepherd. And out there, in private, he built this incredibly deep, personal relationship with God. That's the real training ground. Loving God with his whole being wasn't just a nice idea. It's what forged the strength he'd need for all the public battles that were coming his way. So how can we actually do this? Well, here are 3 super practical steps. First, try to build a habit of praise before your day even really gets going. Set the tone before the chaos of the world rushes in. Second, make a conscious effort to give thanks in everything you do. Yep, even the boring stuff. It turns chores into moments of connection. And third, let communal worship, the liturgy, really shape you. Over time, that shared rhythm of prayer and ritual really does mold your soul. Okay, so once you start building that inner foundation, it naturally gets you ready for the next phase. See, a faith that's nurtured in private will, sooner or later, be called to speak up in public. And this is where we see the high cost of truth, through the choice that John the Baptist had to make. The contrast here is just, wow, it's so stark. On one side, you've got King Herod. He has all the power in the world, but he's totally paralyzed. The truth just confuses him, and he's terrified of what people think. And on the other side, you have John the Baptist. He has nothing except the truth, and because of that, he was completely and totally free.
And this brings us to a really deep, kind of challenging idea, that victory doesn't always look the way we think it should. The triumph isn't about winning the argument or even surviving. The real victory is in the act of standing for truth itself, no matter what happens next.
Now, we're going to take that idea and see it explode from a single voice like John's into an entire chorus. This is maybe the most powerful example of a courageous and, get this, joyful witness. This is the song of the Martyrs.
So picture this. The scene is Nagasaki, Japan, late 1500s. For a group of Christians, including a man named St. Paul Miki and his friends, faith was no longer just a private belief. It was about to be put to the ultimate, most public test imaginable.
And their response? It's just breathtaking. I mean, think about it. In their final, most agonizing moments, they weren't screaming in anger or despair. They preached sermons from their crosses. They sang hymns of praise. And they actually forgave the people who were executing them. This is what happens when that deep well of private praise just overflows, even in the face of death itself.
Okay, David, John the Baptist, the Japanese martyrs, these are huge, powerful stories. But it's fair to ask, what does any of this have to do with my life, my job, my family, my fears? And that's exactly what this last part is about, bringing this whole journey home and talking about how you can forge your own shield of faith.
The one virtue that links all these stories together is fortitude. And fortitude isn't just for epic, once-in-a-lifetime moments. It's the exact virtue we need to beat that cowardly compromise in our daily lives. It's about standing firm in the small things, trusting that, if we just persevere, our struggles will eventually produce something beautiful.
And here's the best part. This strength doesn't have to come from you alone. That's not the point. Scripture gives us this amazing promise. It's a reminder that fortitude isn't about just gritting your teeth and pushing through. It's about finding refuge in God who actually becomes your shield.
So we end right where we began, with a question for you.
From the quiet praise of a shepherd in a field to the public hymn sung from a martyr's cross, a life of faith finds its voice and becomes a song. And the only question left to ask is, what story will your song sing to the world?